Previously on TLG. What's going on, guys, and welcome to September's episode of Game of the Month. We're going to be talking about Deep Rock Galactic. They really like Carl.
It's a lot of fun, actually. All the classes feel unique and different. Double fisting drills on his hands.
Most useful class. Not my favorite, but most useful for sure. I actually don't mind the tight ones. I hate the big open rooms. And it's worth mentioning too, the game is in early access and it's in development, and they have a roadmap. It's really interesting. So far, they've made good on everything they said that's going to come out. Right now, they're trying to make a tight game that plays well.
My only problem is I have to play this game. I learned this playing with Chris. Apparently, I have to play this game with you because I get lost in a cardboard box. And me and Chris just ran around like idiots for a very, very fucking long time.
They also added an ice biome, which is really neat. My favorite, though, is the engineer and the scout. I really like sentries in games. I like having turrets. I like making perimeters. You really need to be on your shit, because a lot of people who play gunner don't kill fast enough for me.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool ideas, but none of them are completely fleshed out.
And with early access, you know, is that possibility you can get burned. It's happened. Let me know in the comments if you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Because I don't.
And this is going to be very difficult. I'm going to give it a B+. I want to go A-, but the reason I'm not actually sure. It's not complete, so I want to see where it goes. I really love it, so it's a very strong B+. Like I said, I really want this to be an A-, but it's just not there yet. It's got so many cool ideas going on with it. It's a very fun game to play.
I cannot play this game without playing it with people I know. I won't play with randoms and stuff like that. So for me, it's a C+ game, but I do fully expect that grade to be higher at a later date.
I agree with a lot of things you guys said, especially the fact, take note that it's in early access. But overall, I'm going to give it like a B, because I can see that there's potential for this, but I can also see that this is kind of like where they could possibly cap out and just be done with it. It's still a fun game, but like you said, it requires friends to play, I think. But
yeah,
what's super bad with it, there's nothing super amazing with it. It's just a solid B.
Yeah. I mean, it's a high grade.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously I was the low grader twice now.
Again, Joey's a fucking hater.
It is a fun game.
I don't like video games.
It is a fun
what
game, and I fully
here?
recommend playing it.
His attitude has improved towards the game as well, so that's worth noting. That's C+ as an improvement.
Yeah.
The first time he plays, like, oh, I like it, but I'm like, there's that but. Do you fucking love it like me? Do you dislike it? You're like, I fucking hate dwarves so much. I can't believe they tricked me into this shit. This is why I don't buy early access, because they always fucking sell me dwarves. Let me know. You're that guy with the dwarves, but you didn't get tricked. So you're like, I'm on top of fucking dwarf games. I don't get tricked by no one. Fuck Carl. I'm sorry, Carl. For Carl. Let's chill. I'm just getting amped up. I'm trying to express everybody's opinions. Rock and Stone, brother, and welcome to January's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
A couple quick reminders that we just did Plus Club. We talked about Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Maneater, and Greedfall. Make sure to check that out if you missed that. But we're moving into a new month, so that means new games, and that means to download Concrete Genie, Control, and Destruction All-Stars, all offered on PlayStation Plus. Make sure to download those, play those, come back at the end of February for Plus Club, so we can talk about those games, and let us know what you thought of them. And our Game of the Month, we are going to pick in a sec. We have the random generator ready to go. We haven't done that in 2 months, so that's exciting. But before we do that, we have Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, or the podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel further than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you're brand new, we only need like 5 more people until we hit 2,100 subscribers. That'd be cool. So let's try and do that. And type in hashtag AskTLG on your comment if you'd like to be considered on TastyCast, where we read your comments and we reply to them as long as you don't say crazy shit. Yeah, so we played Deep Rock Galactic. I'm very excited to talk about this. Particularly, you guys saw in the beginning, I made a clip. I don't know if I showed you guys or not. I made a clip of what we said about Deep Rock Galactic back in 2018.
I watched that on Instagram.
Yeah. Just to kind of see how our opinions have evolved, because I think it's going to be really fun, because we haven't really revisited a game outside of Portal Knights, and that's because we had to. one of them was on
It was Game of the Month, and
Game
then
of the
we
Month
got
and
it.
Plus Club.
Yeah.
So we had to play it twice, and that was kind of like, wow, we played it again. But this is a game that's evolved a lot since 2018, so it'll be really interesting to see what we said and what we say now. Maybe things stay the same, maybe they got worse, maybe things got better. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. Before we do that, though, we got to pick our Game of the Month for February. We have 19 games on a list, so I have a random generator from 1 to 19. I'm going to mash this button, and then when I release it, I'm going to look down, and we'll know our Game of the Month. I'm hitting the button right now. It is generating shit, and I'm going to stop in 3, 2, 1, and 6.
We are going to play Path of Exile.
Dope. I'm not even like, fuck yeah. I'm just like, that's cool. I like Path of Exile. So February is going to be Path of Exile. That is awesome, because I could definitely play Path of Exile. Although the fucking games, we got Concrete Genie Control, Destruction All-Stars, and Path of Exile. Actually, Destruction All-Stars and Concrete Genie, I feel like, will be lower impact games.
Yeah.
Control, I don't know if I'm going to beat it again, but I got time. I can do that. So yeah, Path of Exile for February. What do you guys think about that?
Acceptable.
This is acceptable.
I was actually looking to play that game again recently.
I think I've been out of the loop, but I know an expansion is either coming out or is out. So, perfect time to revisit it.
Yeah, except for I have more progress on PlayStation now than I do on PC, and I kind of would prefer to play it on PC, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's rough, because I've played it on both, and I've put a lot of time into both. So, I'll have to see where I'm at on both of them, and see who's the most willing to play with me, and pick accordingly.
Yeah.
Every time I play the game, I make a new character, so it doesn't matter to me.
Whew, it matters to me. The time investment. The worst thing about Path of Exile is like, and I feel like I'm going to be best prepared for it this time, but every time I've revisited that game, I don't remember how the game works. I have to like remember all the systems and shit. But right now, thinking about it, I remember exactly how the game works. So now it's going to be figure out all the content they fucking have added and how it's relevant for me to interact with. So very cool. Anything else? All right. So yeah, in January we played Deep Rock Galactic. I picked it. It was my month. We've moved all the months forward. That means Chris will be picking here in no time, and can't wait to find out what that is. But I picked Deep Rock Galactic. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of it, so there will be no surprise here when we talk about it. But if you didn't get a chance to play Deep Rock Galactic, it is a 1 to 4 player first-person shooter, cooperative first-person shooter, where you essentially play as dwarves, different classes. You go essentially spelunking in caves for resources, all the while fighting against enemy waves that come at you, and doing different types of missions, very similar to like Payday 2, in its mission structure, where it's all random. And yeah, you mine for resources, you build pipelines for liquid morkite, you escort something called a drill dozer, and you take your resources back and you build new items, cosmetics, weapon upgrades, and drink a lot of alcohol and dance for a long time and get an achievement. If you're like one of the 1.9% of players who have got the achievement for dancing for over an hour, which is like a no-brainer for me. Of course I fucking did that. I dance all the time. It's literally every time I get beer in that game, I have to dance. It's tradition. We all played it. And yeah, let's jump into Chevy's impressions of Deep Rock Galactic in January.
Yeah, so last time I played this, I think, was in 2018. So it's been a little while. The game was in very early access at the time and is now a full release. So
I forgot to mention that. Thanks.
Yeah. So in the past, I don't know exactly what I said, but I do know
I watched
parts
it.
of what I said, and I do know
I know
that
what you fucking said.
getting lost is probably one of them. But that is always a thing for any game that just kind of lets you wander. That is still true today. I struggle, mostly because I think everything in the game kind of looks the same, which is really hard for me, including the characters. They blend in really bad for me. So I run into a lot of issues where I don't know where people are, and then I have to. Fortunately, there's a button for that where you can hit it and everyone's nameplates pop up. So It is a solvable problem, but it is a constant thing I struggle with when I play the game. And then just recognizing what things are and stuff like that, because the color scheme is very similar, and also the game is just very, very dark. You're underground. Makes sense. It's not a negative to the game. It's hard to see, and that is a gameplay mechanic. So like you have torches, not torches, flares. There we go. That you throw, or if you are, what is it, the scout? I think it is. You have one that's kind of like
Flare gun.
Yeah, that shoots like a drill that sticks into the wall and produces a lot of light. So, which I played primarily, I think is the only thing I actually played this month. And I think it was my lowest level thing too. So I had not really played it before. I think a lot of my issues I had before still exist, and I get that they're heavy gameplay mechanics for this game. So I don't want to go too hard on it, because I don't think it's a fault of the game as much as just my enjoyment of the systems of the game. So I feel like every character feels like they're missing something, and I think that is entirely in design to play in tandem with the other characters, so that not everyone's playing one thing. So I get it. I just find it a little frustrating. The lighting system, I don't like being in dark places in games anyways. This game is literally that. You're just in the dark all the time, and you have to just spam light constantly, and I find it frustrating. I don't want to have to do that. I just want to play, and it is a heavy gameplay mechanic. So like
you can play like a bunch of people and just not throw flares and let everybody else throw flares for you, which I fucking hate.
I can't see then.
No, you just see their flares. There's all no. I'm just saying, like, there's people who will not throw flares, and they should be throwing them. They just decide not to.
I can't do that. So.
And then I'm fucking just mashing the flare button, fucking using up mine, and then I'm out, and I'm like, can somebody start throwing some flares? Because I can't see, and I'm out of flares.
Yeah. So I mean,
so you could be a piece of shit like them.
And I can't play games like that. It's a co-op game. You're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, I think this game has really cool game modes now, which I'll have to give it complete credit for. When we first played it, it was effectively collect X amount of resources, get out.
For perspective, when we played it in 2018, so I watched the video and I was like, wow, this is crazy. They had just added the bar, which I still remember when the bar did not exist in there. If you don't know what that is, they've added an area where you can drink a huge assortment of different kinds of alcohols that all have different effects that are fun and social, but then ones that you can drink that will have effects on you for the mission coming up, and then a dance area. That wasn't there before. They added it in 2018. That's when we just had played. They also had just added the ice biome, which is crazy because that's like, it feels classic to me now. So it's like the idea that didn't exist at one point, I'm like, that's fucking weird. They still, at that time, you had to upgrade your flares. That's not a thing anymore. Everybody just has flares. You used to have to upgrade your flares for the duration they would burn for and all sorts of shit. That's not a thing anymore. So the game's come a long way. Now, recently, they've just added the 2 new mission modes. Before that, they added deep dives, which you definitely didn't interact with. And, I think the secondary weapons and upgrades to those like that is fairly new. There's a bunch of shit that's been added. So I was going to say, what do you think about I think you played for about 4 or 5 hours. What do you think about from when you played in 2018 to now? How much does it feel like it's changed, or do any of the new systems feel better, worse?
I honestly, I think the game feels the same. Mm-hmm. Like, it just has different objectives, but yeah. They've added a bunch more, but you can tell their foundation very much exists. Yeah. Which is a good thing, to be honest. They had an idea and they've just expanded on it, right? Which is great. And people I know from the growth of the game have been enjoying it as well. So, just for me, it's in a weird spot where like there's a lot of things about it I appreciate, and I think in a different setting I'd like the game better. I just don't think I like the underground not being able to see and everything being kind of like similar color thing that throws me off, and a lot of that has to do with the lighting, obviously. But I love the co-op experience of it. I mean, I will sit there and play things like Vermintide and Left 4 Dead with you guys, which kind of same vibiness
for sure
in this game. So there's just something about this game that instead of having fun, I just find myself being in a constant state of being frustrated, which I don't want to feel 100% of the time when I'm playing a game. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because it has a lot of things I feel like I should enjoy, but I always feel like I'm just being prevented from having that fun at all times with this game. So
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I would like you to experience in the game, because there's a lot of stuff you haven't accessed, you have to earn to get to change the experience and maybe have something that doesn't feel. The core fundamental of the game is still the same. You are cooperatively going into mines and getting some kind of resource and escaping and hopefully leaving no dwarf behind.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they've added a lot of features. There's so much content in this game. It's fucking crazy now compared to what it used to have. The amount of cosmetics. I'd like if they add more guns, but the secondary weapons with the amount of upgrades. I mean, like I have at this point, I think like 140 something hours in it. I think I put 40 of those hours, 40 or 50 of those hours in this month. So I played it quite a bit this month. I have that much time in it, and that's nothing for anybody who's like regularly playing this game a lot. But and I still have a shitload of stuff to unlock, like a crazy amount. So like the time investment really matters. But some of the hurdles that you're having or you're facing are not going to get fixed. Like the darkness thing, everything looks the same thing. I can't identify with that in any way. But the darkness thing, I know you. I know, like, I'm the opposite. The darker the better, especially with lighting that makes it like a challenge that can be fixed. I love that kind of shit. But yeah, if you're playing a game and you already don't like games that are super dark, and this game is always going to be dark, and part of the cooperative aspect of working together is to provide light, that's going to be a challenge for you no matter what. So, and I would never want them to change that. So that's just that's something I can't see a compromise.
No, for sure.
But it sucks because there is a lot of systems in place that I feel like in any other game you would absolutely enjoy.
That's why I emphasize, I think in a different setting I would enjoy it. I just think that the fundamentals of the game to make it a dwarf mining game essentially, I don't vibe with it. So
I don't vibe. You played Payday 2, didn't you, with us?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's a similar styled game.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So it's literally, I think, just the balance of the characters, which obviously is, like I said, I think is 100% intentional to force people to play separate roles, which it ultimately is a good thing. But I never feel 100% good about the class I'm playing. There's always something I'm like, I'm missing something.
That is one of the reasons why I was saying the investment aspect of it, to unlock certain things and builds to be able to make your character into something, I guess, more useful. Because I think two of the classes, if you're talking about like the way they're made for the team, benefit the team, but can also work on their own easily. They're that powerful. And that'd be the driller and the engineer are both pretty fucking well suited. Gunner, I think, is very well suited as well. They just don't have a whole lot of tools outside the zip line. That's really fucking useful. And then the scout is a great solo class, but also a good complement to a team that is working well together. The scout can be the most useful or the most useless fucking class in that game, depending on who's playing it. But what you're saying, I remember we talked about that prior in 2018, and since then I feel like they've made balance change, stuff like that. You can really build them up in ways where they are individual, and their classes are very precise in what they're supposed to do, but I don't know if I feel like limited in the classes when I play them. But I've also unlocked a shitload of stuff with them. It is absolutely by design, like you're saying.
Well, and even in regards of like, if that does come down later down the road, I still have to get to that point, which involves the other hurdles I have too. So
that's why I was saying earlier, you're not going to get past that hurdle of the initial gameplay. That's why it sucks for me, because you can't get to that stuff that I want you to get to.
I'd also like to see them improve the ping system a little bit. I don't think the pings stand out enough for me. So
yeah, I think it's funny, people, when they start playing the game, they don't pick up on it, but the more you play it, the more you do pick up on it. I spot them pretty easily, but I play with people who sometimes don't. So I think it's a tuition thing, but it's also all the recognizing everything around you also, because like if you're brand new, you're not going to know what the fuck, certain types of rock is. You might think like, this, sandstone is something, worth breaking when, gold is something worth grabbing. Same thing with the ping system. You might not be versed enough to recognize a little holographic fucking orb in the wall.
Well, I get so like, I think what I would need like to not have that complaint is a sound cue, perhaps, that there is a ping being made, or even just up on the edge of the screen, maybe like a glow or something to signify someone did something over there. Because a lot of times you'll be like, hey, can you get that? And then I'm like, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
I have to take, it feels like a long time to find it. So
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's going to be to each their own, but also it's a familiarity thing, because like if somebody says that to me, I will find it quickly.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm looking for. And I also know outside of the orb of where it's been pinged, that they're going to ping something of interest. So I'm looking for like some fucking, like a chunk of gold with a thing on it. I'm not going to look at like a wall and look for the ping.
Which I can see the gold, fortunately, but it's hard to miss because it's brighter than everything else in the game.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I like the ping system. I don't want them to do too much to it, but I understand what you're saying for sure. Just because that's something I've seen reoccur with a lot of people when they hop back in, if they haven't played in a while, or if they're like newer to the game. It is kind of tricky. I do like the ping system because it's in theme with the game. You actually have to pull out a little tool, and like when I show my laser, people can actually see where I'm pointing. So you kind of use those like laser pointers as well. A lot of people don't do that, but you can do that. And then the ping thing does make a noise, but you have to listen for it. Also, the dwarves will say shit when it happens. Like I said, it's all familiarity, but I completely understand where you're coming from in that. So,
Yeah.
What'd you think about the two new mission types? Game aside, darkness aside, things looking like the idea of like the.
Go ahead.
We did the pipeline. We did the
Yes.
drill dozer escort mission.
I barely remember that one.
Yeah.
But I don't like escort missions in any game. So
I like that one just because it's like a journey that has to take stops, and you have to fight stuff, look for stuff, and then defend the drill dozer. So that's like a whole thing on its own. But then at the very end, it's almost like this like MMO light kind of boss battle where like it's trying to like drive into the core, and you're trying to stop all these lasers from shooting.
the end part I thought was neat,
Yeah, I figured you would.
but I hate escorting.
Sure.
So that whole journey just is not great for me. The pipeline mode I thought was neat. I think with better visibility, I would have enjoyed it more. But I do like that. But that's more like tower defensey, and I like that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I really and I'll talk about it definitely. But I really like the new mission types. But I actually like them, I think, equally. I think they're both really good. But I really like the creativity of the liquid morkite pipeline, just because it's still a defense mission, but the ability to be able to surf around on the pipes and be able to build the pipes in creative ways, both strategically, because it does matter how long you make a pipeline, but also in a fun sense of riding a roller coaster. I think it's just completely in theme with the game, and I think it's a really fun mode to play. I really enjoy playing that one.
I probably enjoyed that more than anything else we did when we played. So
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite game modes now. Like, so much so that I'm like, I want more mission types, because these two mission types are awesome ideas, and they have other ones too. Like Cody popped in and we're talking about a little bit, and he was saying like, that mode was a lot better than like just going in, extracting shit and leaving, which is the original mode. But since then they've had also like oh god, I forgot their name. The big fucking dreadnought missions where there's like these dreadnoughts and eggs, and you have to locate the eggs and shoot them and fight the dreadnoughts. So there's essentially boss battles, and also ones where you have to find these nests with eggs in them and get those out. So
we did that mode.
Yeah, there's been modes that have been added to be more interesting than just go in, grab shit, and I still enjoy doing that. But these newest ones are like I think really creative. And even as I get the escort thing, I'm not a big fan of escorting in games either. But I like that it's not, because when I heard about it before I played, I was like, yeah, that one doesn't sound that great to me, but this one sounds really neat. But then I did it. I'm like, there's more to this than just like follow a thing. Like you're riding it, you're defending it, you're repairing it, you're making these stops, which it feels like a whole adventure. And I think it's for me personally, but just a lot more fun than and specifically the end point makes it interesting too. There's a culmination, there's an end to it that feels like a finale, and I really like the way they did that.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we got to fuck around with any of the new for you, like there's like random events and stuff you can interact with, or like little helmets you can find that on the scanner has a secret room you can go find. I think we did one of those.
2 helmets.
2 helmets, yeah, and then there's another one where there's batteries you have to put in a generator.
Did not see that.
Yeah, that one's really neat. Those random things are just randomly added to maps or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think variances are important for any game where you're doing repetitive tasks.
Playability,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
it's still to this point I'll find one I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, you're not expecting it.
anything to make it feel like you're not doing the same thing over and over and over again, I think is important, regardless of the game. So
yeah, for sure. Anything else? All right, Chris, give me impressions.
All right, so last time I played this game, I played primarily as the scout, which I had a lot of fun being able to just zip line my ass or across the fucking map and get away from things.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man my way across. This time I played only the engineer, and I really enjoyed it. You get to create platforms, you create turrets. And when you place the turret down, it has to be built up, but anybody in the team can do that, and anybody can refuel it, which is a really nice feeling. I don't have to be solely responsible for it. I can place them in strategic places, and other people can interact with them. I really had a lot of fun playing this game, and I always have fun playing this game, but with the 2 new modes, I was really, really digging it. The liquid morkite mode, like you said, I think was my favorite overall. Just being able to grind yourself across the tubes and defend different areas was just a lot of fun. And the escort mission, which I also usually hate escort missions, I didn't actually mind it this time around. Something about it just didn't feel as, I think probably because the pace was rather quick. Like it'll go fast and then has like a moment where it has to rest and then you take off again. Whereas like traditional escort missions kind of have a slow, drawn out feeling to them. This has a really good pacing to it. The controls, once I remembered how to play the game, are not too bad. The only thing I have a problem with is the map and the pinging system, trying to memorize which buttons are what and how to navigate through those. I did get lost a couple times and kind of fell down a hole here and there because I was trying to figure out where everybody was. But that's, again, just me trying to memorize the buttons properly. The system is really neat that the map is 3D in the sense, like the game is 3D in itself, but the map is 3D on a different level. Like you have to turn and twist the map to see the different angles, to see where things are on it, which I find really neat. And like you said, it fits into theme of the game. It kind of has a feeling of like that scene in Lord of the Rings where they're in the mines of Moria, and you're just kind of trudging along doing your thing, and then all the goblins show up out of nowhere, and occasionally a Balrog will show up and kick your fucking ass. But it was a lot of fun, and I like you said, the little side missions where you find like the accessories or the appearance changes. I do like those just kind of popping up here and there. It does add an element of randomness to the maps, although the maps themselves feel completely random. I don't think I've seen the same map twice.
They're procedurally generated.
Okay, so there is that nice.
So once you play that map, you're not going to play that map again.
Ever again.
Yeah.
Cool. That is nice to have in these types of games because they will feel stale if you keep doing the same map over and over again.
Yeah, I'd be burnt out if I was playing the same maps by now. Like, I love the game. Obviously, I'm going to talk about that when I get to that. But, like, yeah, if I was playing the same, like, 12 maps, I would not be playing this as much. The procedural generation is very crucial to this game's formula, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just every character feels unique, even down to, like, all the weapons that they have are unique, and you can customize them all in their own ways. I ended up customizing my turret so I could put 2 of them down at the same time, which I felt was really nice to be able to get like chokeholds with them. It's a lot of fun. Just the coordination you can have too, because I would put standing platforms down, and then I would try to put my turrets up into higher reach places where the enemies couldn't get to them, or I would try to create platforms for Cody to stand on to be the gunner, so he could have like this vantage point to shoot down from. But it is a unique game. It's kind of like Left 4 Dead, but only in the sense that there's large waves of enemies and there's only 4 of you. Fight them off.
Yeah, I mean, it's Left 4 Dead, Payday 2, and Minecraft.
Yeah.
Without the building aspect. So maybe Spelunky. I don't know. That's a 2D game, but yeah, it's a really interesting amalgamation that I think if somebody else made this and didn't nail the exact formula these guys did, I don't think it would be as successful. Like, they really nailed that formula.
Yeah. I mean, I had a blast playing this game overall. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's interesting too. You're playing engineer. You're talking about the coordination, because engineers, like, back when I played it before recently, so back in 2018, although I have played it in between then and now, I played engineer quite a bit, but then someone that we play with now plays engineer, so I decided to play something else, and now I pretty much only play driller. It's definitely my favorite now, but engineer is my second favorite, and I like the strategic element of having the turrets you can put down in certain areas to add, crowd control, being able to shoot, smaller enemies in certain areas, helps out a lot. But then also the platforms that repel insects, you can kind of guide them into certain areas. So there's a lot of preparation that a good engineer should be doing before you interact with some kind of thing that's going to start a swarm to come after you. Fucking swarm. But yeah, that's the beauty of the engineer, whereas like scout needs to just be on top of, like, and a good scout needs a good engineer to work in tandem, because like I said, a scout can feel really useless if they're not being used correctly, but if they're used really well, it's great. But yeah, anyway, the engineer is really, really fucking dope. I really like the engineer as well, but it is interesting when you talked about kind of coordinating, planning and shit, because that's the class for it for sure. It's definitely not the goddamn gunner. Gunner's not about coordination at all. Yep. And going, hey, I can put a fucking zip line up there for everybody to get there. And by the time you do that, people are really drilling up through the fucking wall and goddamn scouting their way up there, or putting platforms. But it always comes in handy on the way out, so.
Yep. Yeah. I just really enjoyed it this time around. I mean, not that I didn't enjoy it last time, but I had a lot of fun.
Cool. Anything else you want to say on it? All right, I will jump in. I'll try not to just sit here and gush, but this is essentially my love letter to this game, because I fucking I love this game. I think it's a really clever, really charming, really awesome game in like almost every single way. And I might be overselling to some people, but like I really dig this game. First off, aesthetically, I think it's neat that you're literally dwarves who are known as being miners, but you're space miners. I think that's such a cool idea. I love the even that aesthetic goes into like the canon of the game. They like to just drink, fucking party, dance, and then go and mine, and they talk about like, I think we're gonna fucking die and all this shit. I just love how charming that is. I love the dialogue. I love the different characters and the way they all talk. I love the guy who plays the mission control guy. Even though he's annoying, he's like so crucial to the atmosphere of that game and how much they dislike him. Like there's lore to this game without there being lore to this game. Just like fucking Carl. I looked that up still. There's still no info on Carl. There's fan theories. One of the best ones I think is like Carl was like the 5th member of their team and he died at one point. And so that's why there was like no dwarf left behind for Carl and shit like that. That makes sense to me, but there's no info on Carl, which I love. I hope they never fill in that gap. I hope they never tell anybody about Carl, because I love that kind of shit. So yeah, I love the atmosphere of the game. I love the lore of the game, and how simplistic the dwarves are. They fucking there's some dice hanging in the ship, and they just walk up, start patting them, and they're so stoked about it. They're like, oh yeah, and they start smacking around shit. It adds, that little thing just adds so much There's a fucking little bobblehead thing at the bar. They hit that and they get excited about it and say shit about it. All these little things just kind of like add to the atmosphere of the characters, but also the social element of it. Even to the point where there's a button that you can say fucking rock and stone and all sorts of shit. That's like a community thing. Like I literally joke about it, but I'm not joking. I'm joking, but not joking. Fucking if someone shows up and they don't rock and stone, I don't trust them. Like, this guy's not a team player. They show up, I'm looking at them like, this motherfucker didn't rock and stone. Like, I said that the other night, and they're like, you didn't rock and stone? I'm like, no, you didn't fucking rock and stone. I walk up to him, and he's just looking at me from the ship. I look at him, and he goes, rock and stone. I'm like, okay, fuck, that was close. So just those, like, dorky little details add so much character to the game that I love. One thing that I think everyone acknowledges when they play this game, but I don't think gets enough credit, is the soundtrack is fucking good. It's better than it should be. It's really creative as a soundtrack because it adds like an atmosphere to the game, but it's also like I don't know. There's some bangers in there. Like whoever the fuck, I forgot the guy's name. He has it sounds like a Scandinavian name. I want to buy the album on fucking vinyl. I mean, like it's a really good soundtrack. Every time I play a game, people like start listening to like, this music's good. I'm like, I know, it's really good. It's fucking bangers, dude. This game's full of bangers. The gameplay loop is really good, and it could, if it wasn't exactly what it is, could fail easily. But the procedural generation of maps, the randomization of what missions you have available to you at the time, and the random modifiers, and the ability to change difficulty. And the different mission types allows you to play this game, if you're into it, indefinitely. Like it's so easy for me to fucking play this game forever. Like I go to bed because my body's shutting down. I'm like, I gotta go to bed. Like I was playing this game and I'm like yawning the whole time. I'm like, okay, that's enough rock and stone for me. And I have to hop off. But the gameplay loop is really good. If you're somebody who likes to acquire resources to craft things, whether you're doing that in an RPG or an MMO, this game is that outside of the gameplay, which is a solid, competent first-person shooter. This game has so many elements to it that I love. It's a good first-person shooter. It's a good procedurally generated game. It's a good crafting, resource gathering game. It's a really good co-op game. So much so that I get angry in this game because some people are so bad at cooperation that I'm like, no, this could be so much better. It's really bad. I've gotten kind of elitist in this game that I have a switch. I'm either like, we're playing for real, or okay, we're just fucking around. And I'll turn that switch on and off. If people are fucking around, I just go back to, okay, we're fucking around, and I don't even think about it. But if you're playing with a team that's like really good, super satisfying. And that's hard to nail because the classes that are all like individually built and built in a way that you should need each other to get through the map, really works well as a cooperative game. So I don't want to jump into recommendations just yet, but if you're somebody who really likes cooperative games where you are not just playing together but working together, this game is that game. The amount of upgrades to your weapons, promotions have been added. They give you stuff. An extra perk slot. There's so many things you're working towards that you have a solid gameplay loop that's really fun to play, really good in cooperation with other people, and you have a lot of things you're working towards. And the other types of games I could think of that really offer something like that is MMOs, which is weird because this isn't an MMO. It's not even fucking close. But MMOs is one of the only types of games I think of when people are like, oh, I've been working on this thing, I've been resource gathering for this long, and I finally got it. This game kind of feels like that. And it's really cool. And it's got that, you kind of brought up earlier, but like that Vermintide vibe to it, where like you go from like these more casual going through killing enemies to like, Left 4 Dead style swarms and shit. It's a really, I'm talking about the gameplay loop again, but it's a really good gameplay loop. It keeps you, even in the escort mission, it keeps you actively doing stuff. You're never, the downtime is temporary, and there's always going to be something happening. So it's I don't know. It's really good. There's no downtime in the game in the sense of it being boring. So I really enjoy that. I think the classes are thought out really well, as long as people are playing the classes correctly. Sometimes I'm like, man, that scout is real useless. If only they had something else to do, because that guy's not utilizing that fucking scout. But yeah, driller, my favorite. The utility of being able to drill through fucking walls and through the ground, stuff like that, is the most useful thing I think in the game. The weapons, the freeze gun is what I use. It's really useful. In fact, I was playing gunner for a while to try and get my promotion, and the just being able to mow crowds with a machine gun is cool. But like that freeze gun, being able to kill small guys really quickly with it, but to freeze giant guys in the middle of a fight is fucking awesome. That's why it's my favorite. C4 is really useful as well. Engineer, second favorite, just because the turrets are useful, the platforms are useful. There's a lot of things you can use those platforms for, not just for standing on. Gunner, I think, is way more useful than he should be, but people don't really play him to his usefulness a lot of times. They just kind of shoot shit, and they don't shoot shit enough. I'll see like whole crowds of enemies, and the gunner's just like looking at an individual guy just flying around. I'm like, what are you doing? There's a crowd there. Unload on him. Like, fucking, that's what you do. And yeah, Scout's fun to play, but I don't really play Scout a whole lot. I could gush about this game for fucking days. I love everything about it. There's like no weaknesses to it at all for me personally. In fact, to the point where someone's like, I'm not into that game. I'm like, how? How do you not love this game? How are you not in love with this fucking game? Like it's so good. It's crazy. And it's funny too, because like bring it up because this is in some ways going to be compared to our last time we talked about 2 years ago, which I think is an interesting, kind of experiment to see how it's evolved and our impressions of that. I liked it a lot then, but in the time that I've played it and where it's built up to, I think it has just become a much better game than it already was, and it's just been really cool to kind of experience that. Even I think it released last year, right? 2020, do you remember?
Pretty sure it did.
Yeah. And they're still adding content to it. So it's just been really cool to kind of see it evolve in the way that it has, and knowing it's going to keep evolving. They got new biomes coming out soon, new enemy types coming out soon. And yeah, I really love this fucking game. I think it's great. I think the addition to your pickaxe, being able to customize that is awesome. It's a small thing, but the game has a lot of social features, and that helps with social stuff. Like, oh, look at my pickaxe. Mine's different than yours, blah, blah, blah. Perk system, definitely welcome. That's new since we last played, and that, allows you to have builds for your characters. Yeah, just a solid game. I could pick something and just keep going. So last thing, the beer is dope. I love that as like a social thing as well, but also having properties to help you on missions, buffs. But the variety of beer and the having to acquire the right ingredients to make these beers over time. I think I have one left. Is awesome. It's a cool journey to kind of experience those, and it's a social thing because all four of you can like drink these and see what the fuck happens. It's really cool, and it's something I miss in a lot of games. I don't think a lot of games do social stuff that much, and I wish they did, and this game does it. I hope they add more. Yeah, everything about it. I love everything about this fucking game. It's awesome. It's only gotten better. I think it's gonna only get better unless they do something to fuck that up. I don't know how they would do that, and yeah. Anything else you guys want to say on your impressions?
Dwarves are ugly.
They're ugly.
They're real ugly.
But they embrace that with the customization, because you can make your dwarves look like kind of badass, but you just realize they're little baby people, so like they're really small, but like buff babies. But some of the things you can pick can make your guy look really fucking stupid. Like for a while, my hair was all fucked up, and like I had this huge mustache, but then like my outfit had like bug blood all over it, so I look just gross and shit. So like they definitely embrace that. You had that fucking bouncy afro. Your fucking, every time I saw you, your dude looked different. You'd like show up, I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm like, oh, it's Chris. Every single fucking time. And I look at that fucking list of customization. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm ever gonna have all that. There's so much shit to unlock, and it's all specific to your dwarf too. So if you buy the afro for this class, you didn't buy it for everybody else. You bought it for that guy. So there's a lot there to unlock. All right, jump into recommendations. I could pretty much recommend this to everybody, but that's my bias because I like the game so much. So I'm going to throw the ball to you guys to be a little more specific. But I think the easy ones are like if you're into cooperative games like Left 4 Dead, Vermintide, if you're into... you guys...
I mean, you were pretty much on the right roll. 4-player co-op games like Vermintide, or Left 4 Dead if you're more familiar with that, Payday 2, whatever. If you're into games with a lot of customization, if you're into games that are hub-based in general, where you have a hub, you pick a mission, you go out. So, I mean, I could even throw in things like Phantasy Star or Monster Hunter in here. The gameplay loop is different, but the cooperative aspect of it is exactly the same.
Yep.
There are skill trees and perks that you can unlock. So if you like the long-term RPG aspects in a first-person shooter gathering style fashion, that's there for you. And social features. The game's full of it, and a bunch of like things that are meant to be thematic, but also fun things for you to do. Like you brought up the dice. You can also, like, if you break a bunch of, like, I think they're barrels in the thing, the boss gets up
after
your
you,
ass about it. There's a barrel game at the other end of the bar where you try to, like, it's a timing game essentially. There's stuff
Trying to get in the hoop.
Yeah, there's an exploration of the main hub while we're waiting for people to figure out. So you're messing with your gear. Everyone else doesn't have to just stand there and wait for you. They can literally go fuck around the base somewhere, and there's plenty of little things to mess with it or find or whatnot. So they put a lot of thought in the social features, which is very important. So
yeah, Chris.
The other thing I think I would really add right now is if you're looking for a game that doesn't take it serious.
Wait, you cut out. What'd you say?
Oh, if you're looking for a game that doesn't take itself too serious, it's got moments where it's just kind of quirky, just for the sake of being quirky, and it kind of adds to the character of it. So if you're looking for games that aren't like super like hyper serious focused, and just kind of like fun for the sake of being fun, I think you're gonna enjoy this.
I like the kind of juxtaposition of how goofy the game is, which is nice. It's refreshing because so many games like try to take themselves very serious, and this one's just like, hey, you're a bunch of fucking dwarfs, and you go dig for shit. And they say a bunch of goofy stuff, but then like when the music gets like really serious and you're trying to escape, especially on harder difficulties, and you're like actually like struggling and trying to get everyone onto the ship and stuff like that, it has a cool almost like Goku in anime being a goofball, but then getting serious kind of thing going on. It's got that charm to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, this is funny. Oh, shit got serious. Like, it's got that cool kind of mixture going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, there's a lot of things. Because if you like games that like you customize your character, this is definitely for you. If you're looking for games, the hard RPG elements of customizing your build, play this game. If you like your characters to be butt-ass ugly, play this game.
it's a very niche thing.
I don't think it is. I think a lot of people like ugly shit. I mean, look at pugs.
Oh, pugs are adorable.
Exactly. But they're fucking weird looking, but they're adorable. Yeah, there is a lot of things because this game has a lot of shit going on. Like if you're into like end game content, if you're like working towards something to finally get to the end, and you're going to be like grinding out for rewards that are going to be more challenging to get, this game has that. If you like 3D platforming, there's fucking biomes you're going to go into where you're going to have to work together to platform through an area. If you like spelunking in games, going into places to find stuff. If you're the guy in Minecraft who doesn't like to get resources and build houses and shit, but you're the guy that when I go into a cave and I just find your fucking flares everywhere or your torches, and you've just gone in there and just looked all over the place already. That kind of person, you'd probably be into this game.
Feeling very attacked at the moment.
There's always that guy. I'll play on a server, and I'm like, I'm gonna go. I've been working on my city for like 2 weeks now. I'm gonna go explore a little bit. I walk around and I find torches everywhere. I'm like, someone's been here already.
Yeah, it's Chris.
People have been everywhere, and they've left shit everywhere. It's like if someone's walking around with Skittles and they're just like spilling them all over the place while walking around.
Crafting tables everywhere too. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
pick them up.
There's always that guy. It sounds like Chris is that guy. So if you're that dude, fucking this game may appeal to you because this is a game where you can just run in there and start finding some shit. Yeah, I mean, I could recommend this to most people. I think most people could try it. I don't know if everybody's gonna be into it, but I think most people, if you've played any genre of a game, this game has some little bit. It's not a fighting game, but it's related to a lot of things. It takes a lot of influences. So, yeah. Anything else? Any other recommendations? There's a lot of things we can recommend. So yeah, check it out. And if you're into dwarves, like I know some people like elves, orcs, shit like that. If you're into dwarf stuff, this is a dwarf game. Which is weird because I don't really have an affinity for dwarfs, but in this game I do. So let's jump into our grades. Let's go with Chris first.
I'm gonna give this game a B. I really enjoy this game a lot. There's no like strong emotional investment in it for me as far as like storyline goes, so I can't give it a high A territory. But there is a lot to unlock. It feels like before you can really start progressing the story, so it kind of hinders the multiplayer aspect for me a little bit there because well, we can't do this because you haven't unlocked this, or we can't do this because you need to unlock this first, which is why that's the only thing that's really holding back me from B+ territory.
Yeah,
but other than that, it's a shit ton of fun to play.
Yeah, and that's I think the strongest factor of the game. It's just like a fun ass game to play for sure. So Chevy,
I think I'm gonna echo my 2018 grade and give it a C+. It's it does everything it's supposed to do. It's just not really for me. So
yeah, for sure. I think Chris also gave a B in 2018, so that makes sense. I wanted to give it an A-, gave it a B+. I'm giving it the A-. I've moved up. The reason I'm going to the A territory is the charm of the game has won me over. That's the emotional attachment. I like this game so much. I dig it a lot. I feel like I could maybe go to an A, but I feel like that's pushing it. But I think A- is really high. Just the amount of time I put into the game, the amount I love playing this game. I have a blast playing it still. I will probably put about 1,000 hours in this game easily. And I really dig it. I like it a lot. I liked it a lot back then. I like it even more now. So I gotta give it that A- that I wanted to give it originally. So easily. It's a strong A-. But I really dig the game, and I think people should check it out if they haven't. It's on PC and Xbox, I think. Why is it not on PS4? It's
I don't
fucked
know.
up.
Let Xbox have something though.
Fine, Xbox can have a thing. Yeah, anything else? Let us know in the comments. Have you guys played Deep Rock Galactic? If you have, what do you think of it? If you haven't, are you interested in playing? Are you not interested in playing it? If you are playing or have played it, do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you like about it? What do you play? What's your main? Or fucking do you play them all like me? Are you crazy? I know a lot of people like work towards one. They're like, I gotta keep promoting this one. I'm like, no, I need to promote them all. I like to be ready for anything. And yeah, let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Deep Rock Galactic. What we grade it in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. Quick reminder, real quick, that our Game of the Month for February is Path of Exile, and to check out Plus Club. We just talked about some games. I forgot them already. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Maneater, Greedfall. That came out today. Check that out. And yeah, but yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out other episodes. Check us out on social media, link down below. Check out our Discord, link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. Further than liking, commenting, sharing this video, and subscribing if you're brand new. Get us to 2,100 subscribers. That'd be fucking awesome. And yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Carl.
And until the next episode, by the beard, rock and stone, and leave no dwarf behind.